Welcome back to my next playthrough series. This time we're playing Next Generation Deck Builder. I did get the second set of Next Generation deck building cards. I never did find the first one with Locutus of Borg. I really would like to get it, but it's so hard to find now. Alright, we're going to be doing the Borg Invasion 2 scenario. I'm not going to read through all of this, but you can have a quick look here. So victory, we basically have to defeat the Borg Queen, and she's in a deck here. I'll explain that in a second. We're going to be playing a two-player, and we don't do any exploring. We just flip one of the space cards every turn, and on and on and on. So yeah, when non-Borg ships show up here, we try to diplomacy them, which means we can take them. Borg cards, there are 15 in total. If that deck ever runs out, and we'll get Borg cards in our hand through different things, we lose the game. And when our flagship's defeated, normally you gain an ensign and reshuffle everything. In this Borg Invasion, we get a Borg card and shuffle everything. That's kind of a high level. We have our star base here of a whole bunch of cards, so a bunch of kinds of Next Generation. They're set up, maneuvers, and characters. We'll get into the details of which ones are randomly put out here when we go to purchase them. The purchase price is in the top right-hand corner. And we'll shuffle these, but everyone's deck consists of a tricorder, 2 lieutenants, 3 ensigns, a diagnostic check, an evasive maneuvers, a phasers, and a Starfleet Academy. So yeah, we'll just get into the game. I'll show you how it plays, and we'll look at our ships first, because we do get special powers on each of our ships. So player 1, player 2. Alright, so each player, of course, has their own unique starship. There's 4 of them, because you can play 2 to 4 player co-op. Borg Invasion, I'm playing a 2-player. They have 8 shields, or 8 defense. If that 8 is ever down to 0, your ship is basically defeated, and then you're going to get a Borg card, and you're going to shuffle your deck, your hand, your bridge, everything together, and reset your ship back to 8. And you'll be out of the game for that turn, and you return the next time. So there's no getting kicked out of the game. You keep coming back. So the special ability on the USS Defiant is once per turn while not in battle, you may discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, move 1 card from a teammate's discard area to the top of their deck. So this is to help out your teammate. Alright, let's take a look at the second starship for player 2. Alright, the second starship is Starship. Anyway, 8, it has an 8 defense as well. These are the starter ships. Once per turn, while not in battle, you may discard 4 cards from your hand. If you do, you may trash 1 card in a teammate's hand or discard pile. And that becomes pretty important because these Borg cards cannot be played. They can't be trashed in the trash phase. I'll explain that. The only way to get rid of these things is to use like an ability like this or other abilities that show up on some of the Starbase cards. Alright, without further ado, let's have a turn or two and you will see how the game plays. Now we're trying to defeat the Borg Queen, and she's trying to give us 15 Borg cards, so we lose. Alright, so to start off, each player is going to draw 5 cards for their hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So player 1 has an ensign, Starfleet Academy, evasive maneuvers, and a couple lieutenants. And you can see the experience points here on the ensigns and lieutenants. Actually, that's what you use for your purchase power for cards in Starbase. Alright, player 2. Again, just giving it a quick shuffle here before we begin. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Player 2. Oh, and I should say the turns are simultaneous too. So lieutenant, ensign, tricorder, and evasive maneuvers. Alright, what do we do? In this deck, there are 15 starships and 25 Borg cards. And yes, the Borg cards are all bad. Very bad. Horrible, in fact. And one of them is the Borg Queen, which we need to defeat. And not to give any spoilers or whatever, but the only way to defeat her is with characters only. So we do want to get some much better characters from Starbase. Alright, the first thing we do in a turn is we flip over the top card of this deck. And oh my god, let's take a closer look at this horrible thing. Alright, taking a closer look at this card, it says you each discard the top 3 cards of your deck. Your flagship each receive damage equal to the total number of Borg cards discarded this way. Then remove this card from the game and explore again. Actually, this is not a bad time to get this card. Of course, it's out of the game, though. So we're going to just be discarding the top 3 cards of each player's deck, and then we have to draw another one of these cards. Alright, so we just go ahead and discard the top 3, which is going to be the Tricorder, Diagnostics, Phasers. Boom! Discarded. For player 1 and player 2 is going to be Lieutenant, Diagnostics, and Starfleet Academy. Well, yeah, okay. We don't have any board cards yet, so of course that's not going to do anything to our flagships. They still have 8 health. Next card in the pile is, a Borg Sphere. Alright, let's have a look at this one. Alright, so it looks like we're getting attacked by a Borg Sphere. Flip, you each gain a Borg card. So we have to take one of these each into our discard piles. Player 1 and player 2. Oh, joy. X equals the number of Borg cards in your hands and discard area. So that's going to be a total of 2. So that's going to be 7. So they have a speed of 7. I'm going to use these little dice here just so that I can remember what their stats are. And a damage of 8. Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Alright, so this is what we are trying to do. And they have a shields of 8, or defense of 8. So if we can do 8 damage to them, we'll blow them up. If not, this ship, we're going to have to take the fail option, which is we each get a Borg card in our discard pile. So yeah, so how do we do this? We're going to be playing cards to our bridge, and we're going to have to try and well, if we have faster speed than 7, we'll get to shoot first, which is not going to happen. And then it will dole out a total of 8 damage, and we have to decide who's going to take the 8 damage. Alright, let's back camera out and we'll show you how this works. Alright, so I rearranged things a little bit. So basically, player 1, we're going to be taking a look at their bridge, and they have an ensign. We're just going to put all the cards down here. And they will play evasive maneuvers during this battle. And then, of course, this card is not playable at the moment. So that's what they have. So they basically, if you look at it, they have 1, 2, 3 speed, and they're going to do 1 damage. So 3 speed, the Borg Sphere is way faster. Likewise with player 2, they're going to have a couple of ensigns, and the tricorder. They also have evasive maneuvers, but you can only play 1 maneuver per battle. So the player 1 and player 2 both can't play evasive maneuvers, just 1 player. So the way it sits, the Borg cube is way faster than either of our 2 ships. It will fire first. The player 1's going to do evasive maneuvers, which gives them 2 more, basically, shields. So instead of taking the 8 damage from the Borg cube, they'll only take 6. So that knocks their starship down to 2 health. Oh boy. Alright. And then we would do damage to the Borg ship, but we can only do a total of 3 damage. It is not defeated. So the Borg cube basically just flies into our space, pounds on the USS Defiant, and flies away. And our fail is we each get a Borg card. So this now, because it's not defeated, goes to the bottom of the deck to show up again maybe sometime later, and each player then gets a Borg card. So that's another one in each discard pile. So now we are down to 11 cards here. Again, this deck runs out, we lose the game. Alright, we both survive, so what can we do now? Well, we can actually play our hands in any order and either go to Starbase, you can use experience to heal your ship, etc., etc. So, let's figure out what we want to do with each player. Alright, let's start with player 1. Player 1 basically has 2 experience, 3, 4, 5 experience, and we have this really cool card. Upgrade 1 character in your hand or bridge to a character from Starbase costing 2 more. Right on. So we're going to use this on a lieutenant, but we do get the experience even though we're going to upgrade one of these guys. So we get 2, 3, 4, 5. And with 5 experience, our ship is down to 2 health. We're going to use all 5 of our experience, and we're going to get 5 health back. That's going to take our health of our ship to 7, so we can try and stay alive longer. And now we're going to use the upgrade card. Choose a character, your hand or bridge, to upgrade costing 2 more. So we can take our 3 lieutenant and go to the Starbase and get somebody that costs 5. So let's go to Starbase and figure out who we want to get to costing 5. And the only couple of options here, we have Rolaren, which I like for 5. It's a character, and of course we also have a commander, which is a character. So we can get a commander, or we can get Ro. I think we're going to go ahead and get Rolaren, because she's pretty awesome, costing 5, so we can upgrade to her. She's got a speed of 2, diplomacy 1. You may select a player. The player discards the top 2 cards of his deck. If you selected yourself or a teammate, you may trash one of those 2 cards. Good for getting rid of board cards. Awesome. Player 1 now has Rolaren in the mix, and we replace the card immediately with a forward disruptor array costing 6. We'll look at that, wow, if we need to. Alright, that's basically player 1 doing everything they can. So all their cards will be discarded. So let's now take a look at player 2. Player 2, of course, had no damage to their ship. So they have a lieutenant for 2 experience, 3 experience, 4 experience, and they have the tricorder. Oh, searches, I should mention. We get 3 searches. The tricorder gives you an extra one. Search just means you could pull a card out of Starbase and replace it. Haven't done that yet. So we have 4 experience. Let's take a look at Starbase and see if we want to get anything. So for 4 XP, we have some options. We can get spend 3 for a lieutenant and 1 more for an ensign, or I think we're going to get this one. It's the only Starbase card costing 4. Everything else is more than 4, and that is the level 2 diagnostic. And this means it's going to remain in play. Cool. And it says at the end of your action phase, you may trash a card in your discard area. That is good for getting rid of board cards. However, when this card would be discarded from your bridge, trash it instead. So if our starship gets defeated, this is going to go away. But right now, player 2 is going to grab that, stick it in their discard pile. And we have to replace the card immediately, of course, with Engage. A maneuver card. Draw 1 card for each other maneuver of on your bridge, then discard 1 card for your hand. 2, 2, 2, and 2. Costing 9. Oh, wow. Alright, that's the replacement. So we discard all of our cards. I think we've got maybe time for 1 more turn. And I took the liberty of shuffling the discard piles because each character is only going to be drawing 2 cards and then they're going to have to draw some more. So 2, 3, 4, 5 for player 1. And they get a board card. Oh, Ro came up. Good, good, good. And yeah, so that's player 1's hand and player 2's hand. They have phasers and an ensign, and then 1, 2, 3 for them. A board card, evasive maneuvers, a tricorder. Okay, wow, that's our hands. I like this though. This might help us a little bit. Okay, yeah, the first thing we do after we draw our hands is we see what horrible thing awaits us. Okay, so we have a raider ship that we need to try to diplomacy. So let's take a closer look at the raider, see what it says. Alright, so taking a look at this raider, to diplomacy it, we need a 4 speed and we need 1 diplomacy, and your flagships receive 3 damage each. Oh, fantastic. So 3 damage to the Defiant and only 2 damage to the other starship player 2 because they have evasive maneuvers, which is awesome. So they're going to play that. That's going to give them 2 shields. So yeah, that's what's happened here. So yeah, if we can come up with, if 1 player can come up with 4 speed and 1 diplomacy, then they can grab this ship as their flagship, and that of course will give them those bonus abilities later on. Alright, let's figure out if that can happen. Alright, so if we want to try to diplomacy the ship, we have to have a 4 speed and 1 diplomacy, and looking at player 1, just not going to happen. Player 1's got 2, 3 speed and 1 diplomacy. We need 4 speed, 1 diplomacy. Player 1 is not diplomatic enough to grab that ship. Player 2 is even worse off. They have 1 speed and 2 diplomacy. So basically what happens is this ship comes in the system, pounds on both of our starships, and then buggers off. Away it goes, out of the game, never to be seen again. But we're not destroyed, so we do get to now go to Starbase or play card actions and such. So we're going to play Ensign Ro for player 1 because she's got this cool ability. You may select a player. That player discards the top 2 cards of their deck. If you selected yourself as or a teammate, which is either one, you may trash one of those 2 cards. So let's see if that's going to pay off. I think we'll do it for player 2 because player 2's ability is they can discard 4 cards to get rid of 1 board card from player 1. So alright, discarding 2 cards. We discard a lieutenant, and yes, we get a Borg card, so we get to trash this one. Okay, now I have to, then we're going to go down, I guess, to player 1 and continue. Maybe they'll go to the starbase. Alright, I think it's time for some teamwork. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our USS Defiant. Once per turn, while not in battle, you can discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do, move a card from your teammate's discard area to the top of their deck. So we're going to discard an ensign and the Borg card, so they're discarding 2 cards. We played Rose, so she's on the bridge, not in our deck. And that leaves us 3 XP, and with the 3 XP, we're just going to heal our ship up to 7. So 4 to 7. Let's go put a card from the discard pile of player 2 on top of their deck. Alright, and the only card in the discard pile for player 2 is a lieutenant, so boom, top of their deck. And we're also going to use the special ability. So we played Evasive Maneuvers, that's down on the bridge. We do have 4 cards in hand. Once during your turn, while not in battle, you can discard 4 cards from your hand. If you do, you can trash a card in a teammate's hand or discard area. So boom, we're going to discard all 4 of those. And player 1 gets to trash a card in their hand or discard area. And in the discard area is a Borg card. Boom, and it is trashed. And that's it. So that's basically the end of the turn. So player 1 discards all their cards. And we discard all our cards for player 2. So we're going to zoom out and drop 5 new cards for our next turn and wrap it up. Alright, so let's drop our 5 cards for next hand. It'll be next episode. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So player 1 has phasers, tricorder, Starfleet Academy, an ensign, and a Borg card. Lovely. It's lovely. Alright, it's player 1 and player 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's see. And they both have 7 health on their starships. Diagnostic check, Starfleet Academy. Lieutenant and ensign lieutenant. Ooh, not bad as far as XP goes. And that's where we're going to leave it off for today. So this is the Star Trek Next Generation Borg Invasion 2. We're trying to defeat the Borg Queen. And it is not easy, trust me. It is brutal. We'll see what we can do. We only have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I think we only have 1 Borg card apiece right now. But you know that deck's just going to hammer on us. So thanks so much for watching along. It's your comments, subscriptions, likes. This is Star Trek The Next Generation Borg Invasion 2. We're playing a 2-player co-op. We're trying to defeat the Borg Queen, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Thanks so much, and I'll see you tomorrow for the continuation.